Welcome to another edition of the Better Baseball Podcast, WinDailySports.com. My name is Jon Jansen, joined by Brian Slone. Brian's back. Was not here yesterday. It was me and Keith Cavanaugh Jr., which thanks to him for coming on yesterday's show. But Brian, you are here, and I'm guessing you probably saw the no-hitter last night from Carlos Rodon. I mean, like that guy's story. First of all, I just wanted to go over, that obviously what happened there, because I mean, that guy's story is incredible. He was the third overall pick in the 2014 draft. Since he kind of came up to the major leagues, it's been a mixed bag, but then the injuries came and it never really seemed like this guy was going to do much at the major league level. And then all of a sudden he throws a no-hitter, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. I mean, with somebody with his backstory, it kind of leads to not getting the opportunities to continue, or, ending up in a position that's not favorable for him career-wise. But, I mean, the White Sox saw the value in him. They kept their faith in him. They, did everything they needed to do. They put him in the right position. And, with the team that the White Sox have now, I mean, look, that run support in the first inning was a huge relief.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, I mean, he has good stuff. The Indians don't have a good lineup, so it was a perfect matchup that Carlos was able to exploit. I mean, he had a perfect game with 3 batters left, in the ninth. Like, he had a perfect game going into the ninth inning. He even got that first out of the ninth inning. If it wasn't for that pitch that just got away from him and hit the batter on the foot, I mean, he could have had a perfect game, and it would have been even better.
And for the White Sox, I mean, they need starting pitching depth. They need starting pitching to step up. I mean, Dallas Keuchel, Lance Lynn, and also Lucas Giolito. Obviously I like Giolito a lot, but Keuchel and Lynn, they have their concerns, but they need somebody to step up. And maybe Rodon, look, the stuff looked great last night, and he was pumping mid to high 90s fastballs. His
even late.
Even late. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was still pumping 96 regularly.
I think his fastest pitch was in the ninth inning.
Yeah, I think it was. I think you're right. And then the slider was incredible. So, I mean, if they can get him pitching that way, then White Sox are definitely a lot better for it. Now, the White Sox are on today's slate, and you know what? Let's start with that one, because I know you want to go to that game. We got the Cleveland Indians and the Chicago White Sox. Lance Lynn on the mound against Aaron Savale. And, it's a decent pitching matchup. Lance Lynn, as you recall last time, I don't know how he's good, but he has a great fastball that he just pumps through batters. And if it's anything like Rodon yesterday, we're probably going to see Lance Lynn's fastball too just go straight through this Cleveland lineup.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's his bread and butter, and the Indians can't hit it. So this should be, I mean, I don't expect it to be a follow-up performance to Rodon as far as, being perfect through whatever.
Probably not. No.
But no, of course not. But he has fantastic stuff. His numbers are in his favor for Lance Lynn. The Indians lineup can't hit his pitch mix. They are poor with their, swings. Their whiff rate is high. They can't hit a fastball. Lance Lynn throws maybe 3 or 4 different types of a fastball. So, I mean, he should have a pretty solid day. And, until the Indians wake up and do something offensively, I don't have a reason to suggest that the Indians can do something against even decent starting pitching. And Lance Lynn's stuff is above decent.
Yes, it is. And again, I just think with the way that mid 90s, pretty much to high 90s fastball from Carlos Rodon, how it kind of mowed through that lineup. Look, it's even worse against right-handed pitching for Cleveland. So I expect him to have a solid game. The White Sox, I was going to look at their team total, but look at that juiced up number. I don't like that at all. Obviously, I don't like the Cleveland one. 3.5, they could, but that lineup I'm just not too keen on. But I think Aaron Savale is a pitcher that Chicago can end up hitting. Yes. If that juicy number goes down a little bit, then maybe I would think about it. But certainly
I mean, Tim Anderson, I believe, is supposed to be back today. I heard reports that he could be in the lineup today.
Now, obviously, if he's back in the lineup, that
changes everything.
Yes, that changes a lot. A very good extra for him. So Tim Anderson might be in the lineup. Now, the Chicago White Sox, they are coming off that no-hitter, so we'll see. And a guy that was coming off a no-hitter yesterday and that bounced early, I could not believe this. Brian, I needed over 6.5 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Over 6.5 for Joe Musgrove.
Yeah.
He was out within 4 innings after 81 pitches and finished with 6. So I didn't get the over on that. Maybe a gross, just kind of miscalculation by me or a misstep by not thinking that, hey, maybe we probably see Joe Musgrove go out early. But now the San Diego Padres are taking on the Pirates again. And I don't know about Chris Paddock. I'm not going to lie. I know he's got the stuff, but I'm a little concerned about this one. And especially when I see it at the price it's at -167, I just don't know, especially, I mean, the Pirates have been doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, look, not only did they do it to Joe Musgrove, they did it to Blake Snell the game before. You know, like, for whatever reason, the Pirates are on an uptick on offense, and that does not look favorable for Chris Paddock. I mean, he's been out of the game within the first 4 innings, I believe, all of his starts this season. So maybe the last 2 if he's started more, but I don't think so. But he hasn't pitched well. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tout the Pirates lineup as being this all-impressive
or
lineup.
Tout Mitch Keller as a guy that could outduel him. Yeah.
I think in this circumstance, the way they are trending, Mitch Keller might be able to outduel Chris Paddock in this one instance.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look, Mitch Keller had a rough start to the season, had a rough spring. His last game, I think he had a rough first inning. But after that first inning, he settled down and cruised for the rest of his outing. I mean, he went 80-plus pitches, and he only really ran into trouble that first inning that he was out on the mound. But so far this year, he's only faced the Cubs, and he's only pitched against Zach Davies. So he's had 2 identical matchups his first 2 starts for Mitch Keller. So maybe the Padres can do stuff against Mitch Keller. Maybe Mitch Keller can settle in and get into a nice groove. I mean, the Padres offense hasn't been trending upward, so who knows what they're going to do today. I think Will Myers is going to be back in the lineup instead of just pinch hitting or out with the knee inflammation. So that might give them a little extra boost. But for whatever the reason, the Pirates lineup has some pop in it at the moment. Like I said, I hate watch the Pirates, so I've seen most of their games this year. Look, Phillip Evans, I mean, he might not be the best of the best, but he's performing well for the Pirates right now. If you're looking for something in the Pirates lineup, you're looking at Phillip Evans and you're looking at Jacob Stallings to give you some RBIs, to knock that ball around the field. If Polanco is on, he can give you a home run here and there, get some nice hits, although I've traditionally always been a little skeptical of Gregory Polanco. I feel like he's underperformed for most of his career, so I don't really have high faith and consistency from Polanco, but he had a home run yesterday. He's playing well. So, you know, who knows? Maybe he can keep it going, stay hot. Look, they got low whiff rates for Kevin Newman, Adam Frazier, Brian Reynolds is always a solid bat. So, I mean, there's opportunities for the Pirates to really, if they, you know, have good at-bats and work the pitch count and do the fundamentals, there's a chance here that the Pirates can stay on their roll, give the Padres their first 3-game losing streak in I don't know how long, and and keep this thing going.
Yeah, and we could definitely see that. WinDailySports.com, you're tuned into the Better Baseball podcast. So that was Padre Pirates. And there's, the Pirates and beating the Padres, that's certainly notable and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not something we expect. I don't think we also expected the Atlanta Braves to lose 3 straight games against the Miami Marlins. Braves are 4-8, not starting right. Max Fried on the IL. So their starting pitching is a little bad. Their lineup hasn't been great, but here's why I'm highlighting this matchup a little bit. First of all, I'm not scared of Trevor Rogers. He pumps primarily a fastball around 95, 96. His fastball velocity has gone up, but he struck out 10 batters, mostly with his fastball painting the corners. And, if he does that, fine. Then he's probably going to do pretty well against this lineup. But I don't expect that to happen every single start where this guy's just hitting his spots over and over again like he did against the Mets. So I'm going to go with the Braves team total over here, and I'm doing it for a couple of reasons. A, they have to. They have to hit if they're going to win. And I think they do end up winning this game. Now, I can't take the price, and I can't do it also as well with the past results, but just look at run totals the last few games. Like we want to say the Braves are doing bad, right? And that's the case, but in their last 5 games, run totals of 5, and in their last 4, in which they have all lost 6 runs, 3 runs, but that was even an extra inning, but still 3 runs. Then they had 8 and then 5. So they are scoring runs.
Yes.
Their pitching is the thing that's letting them down the most. And look, with the Braves, I think this 4.5, most of it's probably going to be all done by Ronald Acuna Jr. Like, that's it. So I'm riding that hot hand, but I'm also doing it because I think the Braves will do fine against Trevor Rogers. I don't think he's going to shut them down. Now, could he only give up, maybe 3 runs, 5 innings? Sure, I could see something like that, but I think this Braves lineup still is very good. There's always potential for pop. And because of the circumstances, I would say as well, and that their pitching isn't doing well and they have to hit, and Ian Anderson has been doing well. I would have loved to take Ian Anderson's maybe strikeout prop, or I would like to take the Braves on the money line here because you're getting them a reduced price, I would say, because of past performance a little bit. And it's shot up. They are a favorite right now. Man, that was at minus 160. I'm not kidding. I woke up at about an hour and a half ago, and that was at minus 160. That ballooned up already. So I'm going to stick, though. I think the Braves over 4.5 runs, minus 103. You're not paying a lot of juice on it. That to me seems like a pretty good bet, considering the fact that this Braves lineup still is hitting, and that's not the problem and the reason why they're losing.
Right. Look, Ronald Acuna is everything. There's no way you're going to keep his bat quiet, especially with Trevor Rogers on the mound. Like, that's not a pitcher that I'm going to be scared of. I'm more scared of how is Anderson going to do against the Marlins? How is the Braves bullpen going to do against the Marlins? Like you said, that's the question. The offense for the Braves is fine. They can get base runners. They can do stuff on the base path. They can get some runs in. Like yesterday, when Acuna hit that game-tying home run, the announcers are like, what are we seeing? We're seeing the right-handed Ken Griffey Jr. That was their comparison with Ronald Acuna. And I like that comparison. He definitely brings the emotional pop that you need for the Braves to be going upward. So he does everything you could ask of him. Is the pitching staff going to hold up their end of the deal? That's the big question. But you're right. The offense for the Braves has performed as you would expect them to do. They've scored 5+ runs in most of the games recently. So, again, like yesterday was extra innings. So, if you have some good pitching and you can hold the Marlins down, you should be able to get this win. We'll just see if Ian Anderson and the Braves bullpen shows up and does their job.
Yeah, that's where it becomes a concern, and that's where the price. And you're exactly right. You highlight the reasons why they are exactly losing those last 4 games, and why a minus 177 money line. That just seems ridiculous, almost to the point where I want to take the Marlins, but I think the safest one I want to do, the Braves have been hitting their team total over. Yeah. It only has happened not once in the past 5 games. Their lineup, that was a concern in the beginning, but with the way Ronald Acuna Jr. is hitting, I think the team's also doing better around him. They are right around against left-handed pitching, and this is a very small sample size because only 54 plate appearances, so they haven't faced many lefties. They are right around the top 10, about 12th, 13th in WOBA and runs created plus when it comes to hitting against left-handed pitching. So they've done pretty well. They've been better, I would say, the past week or so. And again, with Ronald Acuna Jr., it's going to be fine. Now, I want to highlight this game real quick just because Garrett Richards stinks, right?
Yes, he does.
We know this. Okay, so we got that out of the way. But the Red Sox keep winning. Like, how long do we just keep riding this thing until we get off? I mean, yes, this is absurd. It's getting absurd now.
Yeah, I just don't know, because when I look at the Red Sox, I don't see anything that projects them to be winning this way, and yet they do. They pull it out. They got, Verdugo had that great diving catch to finish off that first game of the doubleheader, I believe.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, look, what they have is kind of like the blue-collar lineup that just grinds and just performs. And they can get decent pitching most of the time. Not thrilled with Garrett Richards with this matchup against the Twins.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, look, everybody said the Red Sox would be better this year. And as of now, they're putting the pieces together and making something work that maybe on paper looks a little disjointed. So I don't know why they're winning, but they are winning. They're getting key hits. They have is good piece players. They got that good glue that holds the lineup together. You can rely on Devers, you can rely on Verdugo, you can rely on different pieces of that lineup to perform when you need them to perform, and they do. They've come through so far in the moments that they need to come through. Now, yesterday, you got 2 7-inning doubleheader games. I always take the 7-inning doubleheader a little skewed, because how many times have we seen a bullpen guy come in and just lose it for the team in an inning? I mean, I'm not saying that would have happened, but there's potential that one bad inning here in the 8th or 9th could swing that a different way. So, take the doubleheader with a grain of salt, but they swept the doubleheader, so
it's just crazy. I mean, it's just I had to bring it up just to make sure. Like, are we sure Garrett Richards is that bad that he can end the streak? And obviously, the answer to that is yes.
I mean, with a lineup like the Twins, yeah, it's definitely possible.
Yeah, and you know what? I wish, if anything, I wish it was a little bit more of a higher number. Because of Garrett Richards is so bad, I would want a plus 150, plus 160, but I'll take maybe a plus 140. Now this one, a plus 195. So John, Brian, I can already imagine the listener right now. John, Brian, why are you talking about a game that has a minus 240 money line and the Phillies plus 195 and the Phillies stink? John, what are you guys doing? Well, guess what? Guess what I'm going to do? The old Jacob deGrom special. The old under 3.5 for the first 5 innings. Brian, if I figured out one thing about these teams so far this series, it's not that the Phillies suck, because I know that. I know that. These lineups are terrible. They are bad.
Yeah.
I don't expect the Phillies to do anything against Jacob deGrom, and I don't expect the Mets to hit Zach Eflin that hard. No. They can't. I mean, these lineups stink. Is that first 5 under where we're going? Now, the under for the game, Jacob deGrom starts usually go over. So it's a weird thing of, yes, when Jacob deGrom's in, he's fine, but obviously he loses games, so the over ends up hitting at some point. But I think I'm sticking with that first 5 under. It just, it's too nice to me. I like it. I like it too much.
I mean, it almost becomes a cliche that the Mets are going to waste a Jacob deGrom start.
No.
Because literally every single time deGrom is on the mound and pitches well, the Mets do nothing. Even in that first start where they put up 8 runs, the bullpen came in and blew it. Even when they do support Jacob deGrom,
the Phillies game, the one he pitched against them, this season.
And even when they support him, they still fail him as Jacob deGrom, the multi-time Cy Young Award-winning superstar starting pitcher that you would build your franchise around. Like, they just don't show up. It's almost like they take the day off. It's like, oh, well, deGrom's on the mound, so we don't need to be here. But you need to be there. And unfortunately, you're going up against Eflin, assuming the rain holds off. There's potential this could be either rain delayed or rained out. And, who knows what that does to the matchup. If it's a rain delay and deGrom ends up pitching later in the afternoon as opposed to the 12 p.m. start or whatever time their game was supposed to be, like first thing in the afternoon. But you got Eflin on the mound. He's not going to give the Mets anything. The Mets will have to take it. If the Mets can't take it, then we're in for a great pitching battle. And, the Mets lineup on paper looks like it should be able to produce, but it just hasn't to the levels that it should.
No,
it just hasn't clicked yet. It hasn't clicked yet.
No, it hasn't. And it needs to if they're going to get a win for Jacob deGrom. Now, it doesn't need to a lot, but I mean, how ridiculous is this team total? The Phillies are at 2.5. I've seen 3.5 a lot. Now, with the Jacob deGrom start, there's probably been a bunch of 2.5s, but it's still that 2.5. It gets you thinking because, man, that's a low number. Mm-hmm. How many times are the Phillies really only going to get just 2 runs? They can get 3. The problem is, though, they actually haven't. They've only scored 3 runs once in this series, and these are 7 inning. 2 of them were 7 inning games, so maybe take that into account. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's also, if you want to play the narrative of Jacob deGrom doesn't win games. Now, I'm going to preface that also with the Phillies stink on the road. Mm-hmm. They are a brutally bad road team. This is dating back to like 2 or 3 years now, which is unbelievable. I couldn't tell you why that's the case, because I would say maybe other than Coors Field, like there's no other like clear home field advantage. It's baseball is not that way. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But to have those road woes is just unbelievable. So the over 2.5 minus 107. If you're playing again the narrative of Jacob deGrom doesn't win his starts, then the overs go over a lot in Jacob deGrom games. Money line maybe for the Phillies, but I don't want to do that with the Phillies playing bad on the road. And I don't know if I can do the team total if the Phillies can't hit. So I'm going to take that off as well. The only one I like is the under 3.5. That is hit in every single game so far this series. And look, you could say 7 inning games, but 5 innings obviously doesn't matter in 7 inning game. These first 5 innings have gone under the 3.5 in every single game so far this series. And Jacob deGrom's on the mound.
I would definitely expect under 3.5 today.
Yeah. And look, Zach Eflin, he's good enough to get it done. Was his last start not the best? Yeah, sure. But also the Mets stink. Like, I'm okay with it. It's completely fine.
Yeah.
So with that game, I think it's a pretty easy play for me. But last one we're going to.
If the Phillies can stay tight until the relief pitcher comes in, they have a great chance.
Yeah.
To win this game or to show that the Mets aren't as good as they should be.
Incapable. Yeah. It's speaking of incapable, the Rockies. They're not beating the Dodgers, right?
Oh,
they can't beat the Dodgers. The Dodgers have been they've been good, and we expected them to be good.
Yeah, first team to 10 wins.
That's unbelievable. They're 10-2 this season. Julio Urias is on the mound. He's actually been pretty good so far. 2-0, 2.84 ERA, a whip just about 1 in 12 2/3 innings, 9 strikeouts in those. Only walked 1 batter so far. While Austin Gomber, he's won. Look, the ERA doesn't seem bad. All right, it's like 0-2, 2.89 ERA, and 9.1 innings pitched. So 9 1/3. But then you look at the numbers and you go, wait, hold on. This guy has walked 11 batters in 9 1/3 innings.
Yep.
The Dodgers are going to crush this guy. Now, they only scored 4 runs against him last time. So in those 2 starts, he's faced the Dodgers and the Giants. In the Dodgers game, he went 3 innings, had 1 earned run, and 7 walks 2 strikeouts against the Giants and a hit. 1 hit, 2 earned run, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is playing a dangerous game. So guess what I think I want to do? I think the dangerous game eventually gets to you.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, look. He has 1 hit in both of his starts. But again, the 11
that can't
walk.
happen.
Like,
yeah,
that can't. You can't.
So even if it evens out, like the walks go down a little bit and the hits, because obviously you don't expect that kind of rate to happen. This guy's only going to allow 1 hit in every start and then also walk a bunch of guys. No, it'll probably even out. But even if it does, that still spells a recipe for disaster, because then you're still walking guys at a high rate, and then the hits start going up. It's just, it doesn't. No way.
No,
no way.
It's a dangerous game. You're playing with, fire. If you allow the Dodgers to get base runners, you're gonna get burned in some way, form, or fashion. Eventually, if they have runners on base, they're gonna score those runs more times than not. So yeah, he might leave a lot of base runners on base and get lucky, get a few, strikeouts, maybe get a few line drives to infielders or fly balls to the outfielders. Like, he could get out of some trouble, but the point is that he's going to have trouble. He is going to be in trouble, I would say, more innings than he's not.
Right. I mean, he's walking the fine line of letting up a couple of runs this game or getting completely blown out. And that's that's a fine line. I am absolutely fine teetering on if it's the Dodgers lineup. Do I think he's going to pitch like this against the Dodgers and only hold them to 4 runs that he did last time, or whatever it was, whatever the case may be? I forget. I think it was only a couple runs. Not even. 4 runs it might have been. But is he going to do that again? Absolutely not.
I would lean towards no, because
has to be a no, right?
Yeah, it has. I mean, look, the Dodgers are clicking right now, and they got Mookie Betts back in the lineup. I mean, they're on a roll.
Right? Is this one where you're kind of okay? And this is what it's maybe seeming like for me. I'm okay with taking my chance on it. Look, if Austin Gomer beats me again or beats me here and walks 11 guys, whatever, walks 7 guys like he did against the Dodgers and still only allows 1 hit and does well in this game, sure, man, you beat me. Like, good for you. You did it again.
Right.
But I think I'm going to take my chances on. I don't think you can do it again, and I'm going to go over 4.5.
Oh, yeah. I would bet against Gomer all the way. Like, even if he pitches well, the Rockies lineup doesn't do anything to back them up. Against Urias, forget about it. He hasn't lost a regular season decision since 2019.
He's been good. He's been good.
So look, he might not get the decision, but he's not going to get the loss. That's just been established over the past season and a half. He's just not going to lose. Now, granted, he could have a bad game, but even still, the Rockies offense hasn't really done anything that makes me say, even at his worst, the Rockies are going to capitalize and make the Dodgers pay. I don't think that's going to happen. This is the Dodgers game to lose. This isn't a Rockies game to win. This is a Dodgers game to lose. And if Gomer can, cut the walks down and maintain his unhittable stuff, then, you fooled me. I'll take that loss. I'll take the bet on Gomer letting up a lot of walks, a lot of runs, and getting into trouble every inning until he gets taken out, which will probably be early. But, it just depends on what the Dodgers do. But the Dodgers have done a lot of damage offensively. Usually they put up a few runs pretty early, and then they kind of coast, and they put up a few runs, later in the game when the relief pitchers come in and stuff. But, they're clicking. They got Mookie Betts back. He started last night. He'll be most likely in the lineup today. Again, this is the Dodgers game to lose. There's no way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's no way around the fact that being like one of those hometown announcers on a game, that when the other team does something great, they just credit it to their own team screwing up somehow, even though the other player made an awesome play. This isn't that situation. this is the Dodgers blowing it and letting the Rockies be competitive in this game. If that happens, I don't think that'll happen, but that would be the situation if the Rockies can keep it close. But I don't think that's the case. I would be surprised.
Look, I'm realizing right now, as we have gone through this board, and hey, maybe the Tigers, I could put plus 150 on. They've been playing well. Sean Manaea has been, he's not been good. So maybe, is that a light play? We're just, because I was going to ride the Red Sox, but I mean, I might as well just, why not go with the hot bats of Detroit and continue that one, right? Like, I think,
look, I mean, they beat up an Astros team. Now, the Astros team had, some injuries. They were banged up. They weren't 100% Astros that their full potential lineup could be. But
right.
I mean,
they were still mashing. That's the part.
That was about to be my point. Like, they're still hitting the starting pitching. They're still hitting the pitching. The pitching isn't decimated, but the offensive lineup for the Astros is a little hurt. But yeah, I mean, the Tigers took advantage of what was given to them, and the Astros pitching usually doesn't give up much. So the fact that they were able to hit well and hit consistently and score a lot of runs against an Astros, starting rotation, I like that matchup against Oakland. I like it a lot. If they can maintain their hot bats, go out to the West Coast, see how they hit in the Coliseum, but I see no reason to run away from this pick. I don't see.
It would also be this guy would be the reason why, but
right. I mean, yeah.
So basically,
but do the A's do anything? I mean,
so they have lately, but that's where I just go, okay, well, are they? Right. I would at least bank on the Tigers keeping it up more than.
Yes, I would bank on the Tigers offense continuing, as opposed to the, pitching of the Tigers to shut down a warming up A's offense. Like, they can hit Skubal. They can put runs on the board. They can make this game close. They could probably, in certain situations, we're looking at an 8.5 runs. I think that's. I don't know if I'm going with the over on that. I feel like the over would be a safe play with 8.5,
right?
Because I think both teams will be able to get runs, and both teams should be pretty easily getting runs in this game. I mean, it's just a weird matchup because I don't know. I haven't really looked at the A's lineup outside of a few matchups where they haven't done anything. Right. I mean, recently they've been good, but
it was against. Still that same Houston
are they
team.
Going to be? Yeah,
and Arizona Diamondbacks team as well.
Right.
So.
They're playing bad teams. Like the D-backs and the A's. The A's are a question mark. I don't have faith in them to do a lot of anything. Yeah. If Chapman and Olsen have their bats going, and Laureano and those guys got their bats going, and they have been past couple games, I think they can put some numbers up against Skubal and make the Tigers work for it.
So I think what I'm definitely going to do is take this off because while I like the Tigers and I think that'd be fun. I think what I was trying to do here is I'm trying to force some kind of play where I'm taking a side. Where I'm taking a money line, anything, because you look at our board and it's under the first 5 innings, but then it's team total overs. But
hear me out.
Okay.
What about game 1, Baltimore-Seattle against Marco Gonzalez?
I like it. Is that where we're going? I like that one.
I like that one. I don't know what Matt Harvey's going to do, but he's been okay.
He's actually not. He's not been bad.
Against the Mariners lineup, I mean, that might be a decent spot that you could get some value out of the Orioles.
Yeah, and look, even money, it's a home game for the Orioles.
Mm-hmm.
Orioles have looked pretty good looked pretty good in their last game. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's try it out. Yeah, let's go, Matt Harvey.
Let's give it a shot. I mean,
I like it.
Look, Marco Gonzalez is iffy. I mean, sometimes he's really good. Other times he's not that great. The Orioles lineup has been pretty decent for the most part. So in a 7-inning shortened game, can the Orioles pull one out against the Mariners? Absolutely. I think they can. We'll just, see how it plays out. But I like the conditions of this game to be in the Orioles' favor.
Yeah. I'll go with that one. I do like it. Harvey, I think, could do well enough to win this one, and the Orioles do end up getting the win. All right, so here's what we have. And here's why I was kind of like trying to force a play or two, because we have a bunch of team totals. And it just seems like, hey, guys, there's everything on the board but team totals. I'll say this, though. Look at the entire slate for today. And look at the WinDailySports.com starting pitching article. Look at the MLB DFS picks and pivot article. Look at everything that is being said about this slate. The pitching is bad.
Yeah.
I think we're taking advantage of that a little bit here. Are we maybe doing it against the right pitchers? Who knows? I think the Dodgers we are. But I think we're doing the right thing in this slate is we're taking it now. The White Sox, it's a little bit high of a team total. I don't know if I take it with the juice, but I do think it goes over. But here's what we're working with. It's a little bit of an ugly slate, not really great pitching matchups, nothing really that fun. So we are taking advantage of the best one, and this usually does hit in a Jacob deGrom start, the first 5 innings, and usually a Shane Bieber start as well. First 5 innings under, and I'm going to play that one for the Mets and Phillies. We're taking the team total over with the Braves. Braves, despite not winning, still hitting well. White Sox, they've been on and off, but I think the over 3.5 is maybe where I would lean there at the -141. Aaron Saval's pretty good, but I think with what we've seen with the White Sox, Tim Anderson possibly being back, they've been hitting better. We might get that. But I will say it's not a favorite of mine, so I will kind of like go it off and say, yes, I do like it, but this is where I would mainly stick is these 3. And if you need a money line bet, we're going with the Orioles. But obviously the Dodgers, Austin Gober's playing a teetering on the line of, okay games and complete destructive, terrible games. So I like teetering on that line is what I'm trying to say. So these are our plays for today. WinDailySports.com is where you can check out the starting pitching article and also picks and pivots. That is it for the Better Baseball podcast. We'll be back tomorrow, a Friday edition. Oh, that sounds nice. Nice Friday edition of the Better Baseball podcast. That's coming up tomorrow. But obviously, stay tuned to Win Daily Sports for weather updates. There's a ton of weather issues that could be happening on today's slate, and also any line movement, any injuries, and anything you need for your lineups. Check out WinDailySports.com. Better Baseball podcast. We'll be back tomorrow. WinDailySports.com.